The window behind the fog. She left a silence that couldn't be ignored. At 7:42 a.m., fog pressed against Everett Langley's window like a quiet ghost. For 12 years his routine never failed. Black coffee, blinds open, eyes on the street below. Across the way, Celia Halden always sketched by her window. They'd never spoken, but her presence became a silent anchor in his mornings. That day she was gone. Her window, once glowing with life, sat vacant and dim. He lingered, unsure why it unsettled him. It wasn't affection, it was disruption. Patterns, once broken, reveal the weight of what they held. Her absence whispered through his bones. He checked the time again, 7:42. It etched itself into his mind. He stared longer, waiting for movement, a silhouette, any proof of continuity. Nothing came. The building across seemed older now, heavier. A silent tension settled over his apartment. He poured his coffee down the sink, unease growing. The fog had shifted, and something else now watched from the glass. By noon, Everett had walked past Celia's building twice. Curtains drawn, no flicker of movement. He stopped the janitor, Mr. Dell, who shrugged. She's private. Keeps to herself. It wasn't helpful. That evening, Everett retrieved an old pair of binoculars and stood at his window. Celia's apartment remained unchanged. No lights, no shadow, just stillness. Sleep escaped him. He saw her drawings in memory, portraits without eyes, doorways collapsing into themselves. The last time he saw her, she sketched something trembling, maybe a key, maybe a symbol. He hadn't noticed the way her hand shook until now. That detail clung to him. Her work had always been strange, but that moment now felt like a warning missed. He didn't believe in coincidences. This absence wasn't ordinary. Her silence didn't feel passive, it pulsed with intent. Something had happened, and the space she left behind was louder than any noise. He searched her name the next morning. Socials revealed little, but a portfolio under CH Echo surfaced. An eerie gallery of fog-drenched alleys, distorted reflections, staircases folding into black. One image made his breath catch. A lone figure staring from his window. Timestamp for days ago. Caption: "What watches us when we stop watching?" He printed it, taped it to his fridge. Then he filed a report with police. "I'm not family," he told the officer. "But something's wrong." The officer shrugged. "She's probably fine." Everett left unconvinced. Her art wasn't abstract, it was a journal. Each image felt specific, anchored. Not imagination. Memory. A record. She wasn't vanishing, she was warning. And someone had taken her before the message was complete. Her sketches weren't just expression. They were evidence. A language built in line and shadow. And if he didn't read it soon enough, someone else would erase it forever. He called Camille, an old friend and cybersecurity analyst. She dug through the site's metadata. One upload came from a warehouse in Dogpatch, not her apartment. They drove out that night. The streets were dead, the air stale. Unit 14 had a faint glow. Everett knocked, nothing. He picked the lock. Inside smelled like paint and mildew. Canvases leaned against the walls. Some bore Celia's signature. One was still drying. A thin mattress rested in the corner. A sketchbook sat beside it. He opened it. The last page, a staircase into blackness. Next to it, "Don't follow unless you're sure." He backed out, the air thick with dread. Called Camille. "She's not gone," he whispered. She was moved. The warehouse wasn't a hiding spot. It was a drop point. Someone had left traces. Whether by mistake or intent, he didn't know. But Celia had been there. And now she wasn't. That night a package arrived. No return address. Inside, a Polaroid in USB. The photo showed Celia, bound, gagged, eyes wide, sitting in a brick-walled room. On the back, "Too curious." Camille decrypted the USB. Surveillance footage from the warehouse. Days of Celia sketching, pacing, sleeping. Alone. Then at 3:07 a.m., a figure entered, face hidden, walked straight to the camera, and unplugged it. "They know we're looking," Camille said. Everett couldn't stop staring at Celia's eyes in the photo. Sharp, focused, defiant. He taped the image beside the printout on his fridge. Then he closed his blinds, changed his locks, and slept with the lights on. He wasn't just observing anymore. He was involved. And someone knew. Her disappearance wasn't a mystery, it was a message. And now the message included him. The game had shifted. He wasn't just trying to find her. He had to survive being found. Camille cross-referenced utility records. Power to Unit 14 had been rerouted illegally from a nearby abandoned theater. They broke in. The air was damp, mold-heavy. Below, a former boiler room. Red bricks, cracked tiles, rusted pipes. It matched the photo. But Celia wasn't there. Just a chair with rope marks. On the floor, a sketch of a blindfolded woman. Beneath it, this isn't the first. Camille ran facial recognition. 6 matches. All local artists. All missing. All with similar styles. Everett stared at the screen. Celia had been documenting them, one drawing at a time. And now she was part of the pattern. Camille whispered, "You realize we're next?" He nodded. The net was larger than either of them imagined. This wasn't just about Celia anymore. It was about all of them. Every vanished voice hidden behind canvas and code. A silence engineered, curated. And cracking it would come with consequences. They launched a private site, encrypted, anonymous, posting sketches, timestamps, locations. Messages poured in. Some led nowhere. Others hinted at something real. One email stood out. "You're not watching. You're being watched." Everett installed cameras. Twice, someone appeared at his door. Never knocked. Just lingered. Camille urged caution, but he pressed on. Then at a cafe, a stranger approached. "I saw her," she whispered. 2 nights ago." She handed him a napkin with an address in red ink. Rooftop greenhouse. Abandoned, overgrown, but not empty. Inside, Celia's sketches pinned like clues. "Keep looking. The key is in the glass." He gathered them, heart racing. The fog outside thickened, but clarity settled within him. She wasn't leaving a trail. She was building a map. And it wasn't over. Not by a long shot. An audio file arrived, distorted, broken. Celia's voice. "They take the ones who see too much. The ones who don't look away. They call it cleansing." Her voice cracked. Red door, under theater, 3rd stair cracked. Camille and Everett returned to the Mariner Theater. Under the 3rd stair they found a crawl space. At its end a hatch. Inside a journal. Celia's writing filled the pages, names, drawings, locations. A map with crosses scattered across the city. Camille whispered, "This is bigger than her." Everett nodded. "Then we don't stop." Each note was a lifeline. Each image a signal. She had risked everything to get the message out. And now it was theirs to carry. The art wasn't just testimony, it was resistance. And resistance, once awakened, doesn't sleep. Everett archived everything. Photos, files, sketches, stashing copies across safe locations. Camille encrypted the journal, distributed it through secure servers. They moved constantly, never staying in one place long. Each red mark on Celia's map led somewhere. Graffiti-laced tunnels, burnt film reels, receipts circled with dates. At one address, they found a mirror with etched words. "You looked." Another site held a mural, eyes overlapping, watching. The pieces weren't random. They were warnings, etched in code and pigment. Celia hadn't disappeared. She had ignited something. And the city, once silent, was now alive with hidden signs. Everett saw grids now where fog once ruled. Truth wove itself through alleys, rooftops, cracks, and brick. He no longer watched passively. He moved through the city like a thread seeking its needle. And every step made him more visible. 2 weeks later, they found her. Beneath a shuttered flower shop, locked behind rusted steel. Celia alive. Weak but alert. Everett carried her out. Camille wiped digital traces as they moved. At Camille's apartment, Celia barely spoke. She stared at ceilings, flinched at light. Days passed before she whispered, "They still watch." She told them pieces, fragmented accounts, flashes of sound, smells, symbols. Artists had been taken before. All quiet. All unnoticed. Her drawings had been alarms, shaped into beauty, so no one would see until it was too late. But someone had. Everett listened. Camille documented everything. Celia drew one final map. She placed it in Everett's hand. "This is the last," she said. "Then I'm done." No tears. No drama. Just resolve. The fog outside the window thinned, but the truth they carried was heavier than ever. And still they held it, because she had trusted them to. Celia drew again. Not the hollow figures of before. These had names. Coordinates. warnings etched in ink and watercolor. Camille helped her publish through an underground network, disguised as immersive art. To the public, they were haunting installations. But survivors saw the truth. Their own scars echoed in her brushstrokes. Each piece became a ripple. Everett watched her quietly. He knew they weren't just drawings. They were acts of resistance. Messages to the missing, signals to the searchers, and healing for herself. For all of them, they knew many would never believe. But belief was never the point. Action was. Hope was. The message was not for skeptics. It was for those trapped in silence, who needed proof someone still saw. And Everett, once just an observer, now stood beside her. They didn't chase applause. They chased light, even in places where light rarely stayed. Whispers turned to movement. Quiet arrests. Clues leaked to reporters. Locations raided. Camille worked with encrypted teams. Everett testified off-record. Celia stayed hidden. Her voice carried through her sketches. Survivors gathered in secret circles, connected by fragments of memory and shared fear. Her art gave them language. Her silence had taught them to listen better. The city changed, not on the surface, but in the undercurrents. Murals replaced graffiti. Messages replaced noise. Hope returned in quiet ways, in paint and stories in defiant eyes. Everett stood at his window, watching the morning light touch her apartment across the street. Her lamp always on. He no longer looked through glass. He looked through memory. And each day she was there, drawing, watching, not out of fear, but in honor of what they'd uncovered. The invisible was no longer unseen. They had made it visible. And that changed everything. Her first exhibit was invitation only, held in a reclaimed train depot. Guests arrived through encrypted links. Inside, sketches layered over sketches, timelines carved into floorboards. One wall, only mirrors. Another, torn pages sewn into a mural. At the center, a sculpture. A shattered window with fog sealed inside. She titled it Echo. No interviews. No statements. Just presence. Survivors wept in silence. Some nodded. Some stared. No one clapped. The work didn't need applause. It needed recognition. Camille filmed discreetly. The footage would never go public, but it would remain, for archives, for history, for the record. Everett stood beside Celia unnoticed, exactly how he preferred it. He felt no pride, no relief, only weight. The kind you carry when truth finally finds form. They had built this together wordless. And now, even in silence it sang. Because pain that's witnessed becomes something else. Strength passed forward. Time softened edges. Celia moved to a new apartment. High windows. Soft light. She painted birds now. Rain. Open doors. Camille founded a nonprofit for whistleblowers. Everett resumed his quiet rituals. But now, at 7:42 a.m., when he looked across the street, her lamp glowed. One morning, a sketch appeared at his door, 2 windows both lit. Beneath, "Thank you for seeing me." He framed it. They never needed words. What they shared was deeper than conversation. Survival had bound them. Vigilance had shaped them. Some mornings he lingered longer, not to look, but to remember. The city outside kept moving unaware. But inside those windows, something had shifted permanently. They had seen the system blink. They had documented the darkness. And they had chosen not to look away. That choice didn't fade. It echoed, like light caught in fog, never quite visible, but always there. The fog never truly left San Francisco. It still rolled down the hills, brushing glass and stone like a memory. But for Everett, it no longer brought uncertainty. It brought remembrance. Of what was hidden. Of what was found. Of what was reclaimed. Celia's story had once been a whisper, trapped behind blinds, sketched on fragile paper. Now it was a movement. Survivors knew the signs. Helpers followed the art. The vanished were no longer alone. Everett still rose at 7:42. Still opened the blinds. Still looked across. Her window was always lit. Sometimes she waved. Sometimes she didn't. But she was there. That mattered. Their connection didn't need sound. It needed presence. Persistence. He kept her first sketch on the fridge. 2 windows. 2 lights. That image held more truth than any report ever could. Some stories aren't shouted. They're drawn. Repeated. Seen. Like fog. Like truth. Like them,